space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Hi and welcome back. It's reached that time where I need to start making my control board to take over from the breadboard. As we've said, this isn't fit for purpose, so I showed you previously I'm not to be using this Vero board. I've started to plan things out. I showed you these before, so I'm getting these in. None of this is soldered yet, I'm just planning. So this is where the ATMEGA is going to go. This is for LR81, I believe it was. I'll correct that if I'm wrong. And for my ATTINY H5. I've already got my capacitors, my pull down resistor and my 16 megahertz crystal in place where they'll go. I've started marking positive and minuses where the power will come in. As I showed you previous video, I'll put a link to. This is my voltage regulator, power in and on switch, which is taken over from the voltage regulator here. I've waiting for them to arrive. I've got some female header pins on order, which basically they'll have the ends like this, but they'll solder into the board. So using DuPont cable, once all the wires from the model come down, I'll connect them to DuPont cables, solder them together, and I'll be able to make it so it's like a plug to plug the wires in, which will be a lot easier than trying to solder wires, and if anything goes wrong I can remove it. So we'll have normal ship's running lights in this plug here. We'll have another plug coming off around here to the sound card. The switches, which were all on the breadboard, will be in a separate part of the display stand. I showed you my switches last time. And you can see the size difference compared to what we had on the breadboard. So they'll be a lot nicer. So they don't need to be on here, just the... So I will have another plug that for switches will come out, a plug for the sound card, which will be in a separate place with its speaker to come out, a plug for the ship lights, a plug for the buzzard motors, and a plug for the lights on the buzzard motors. So it's just a lot of soldering, getting all these in place, but it's important to have these in place, know where they're going to be. When I start soldering, I'll show you the reverse side parts of what I do, so you can see how you've got to treat this perf board differently. But everything's coming together quite nicely now. So I'm off to get these bits soldered on, and we're waiting for my female header pins to come in to really get everything together. And once I've got them, we'll have a look at some more. Right, so I've got the first couple of components put in. The first socket, chip socket, and the parts to convert the ATMEGA 328 into the Arduino. And I pull down resistor, my capacitors and my crystal. That was some very intense soldering to get all that in place. Very important not to get solder running over the different columns. You can see there I've had to make a track in the middle where I don't want there to be any power flow. Use this little tool for that. Just literally turn them out one by one. So I've got a couple more pieces to put on this board while I wait to get my female header pins, and then I'm at standstill till I get them arrive. Right, my female header pins have arrived. They also nicely sent me some male header pins at the same time for free. My DuPont cable, which basically has these headers at both ends. So now I can start getting my board properly together how I want it. So I've still got the other two of these chip sockets to solder in. I've started putting some header pins in. I've removed the two wires I had on my voltage get that focused on my voltage regulator. Replaced it with male header pins. I've cut off two female header pins. I've soldered them in here. So my power from my voltage regulator will now plug in and plug in, and that's how I'm going to do all the connections for the wires. So I've got one set going across here for the lights from the hull and the saucer, a set here for the sound card and the speaker, my 3 push buttons to control the effects. Small set will be above the L293D for the motor controlling the buzzards. And then I will put another strip above the ATTINY for all the lighting in the cells. So loads and loads of soldering to do. So I'll get all them soldered in, cut to size, and take it from there. One other thing you probably noticed, I painted one side red. It's just so I know which side's meant to have the positive power going, so I don't get confused ever. Just a handy little tip if you're copying this. Right, so loads of soldering. I'm going to get all that done and then get back to you. Right, so I've got all my pin headers in place now, apart from one for the buttons. I haven't put that one on yet because I need to check how I'm actually going to wire up these LED buttons, because they're different to what I had on the prototype board. All the connections are in place. Absolutely masses of soldering I've had to do. So the next thing I need to do to finish this board, apart from where the buttons go, is there's a lot of wires need to be added. So I've started with the first one. So I have a ground going from here over to here, which will, for this chip, for the ATTINY 85 when it goes in, I need to do the control pin from the ATMEGA to the ATTINY. The control wires to the L293D for the motor control. There's loads of wires that need to go here. The positives that need to go to the ATMEGA and the motor control. So it's just adding all the wires in. So I'll get all them wires in and we'll have another look. Right, so my control board is now finished. Got the ATMEGA 328 in place. This is basically the Arduino. The L293D for the controlling the motors in the buzzards. The ATTINY 85 for the nacelles. As I said, I've put all my connection pins in, so I've done one of these leads already. This is to go to the nacelles. Stuck it back together with microcell crystal clear, super glued the ends together. I know I've got black wire on one side, so I know that's my ground, and these will just plug in nice and easy. All the wires connecting the different chips together. I've altered the sketch for the control, and I've done it to bring the control for all three buttons to one side. So I'll include the updated sketch, and I'll put an updated pin guide in to go with that. So now I need to make just a small board with my sound card on and my speaker. Get the rest of these cables made for the other 4 connection points, and wire up my buttons. So I'll get all that on with. When I come to wiring up the buttons, I'll show you these a bit closer, because if you've never worked with these, it's a bit daunting when you see 5 pins at first, but it's actually very easy. Right, so I'll get this little bit made up and more cables stuck together. Right, I said that we'd have a look at these halo switches, because I wanted LED buttons that would light up, and then I could use them. So I bought these, and if you're like me and you don't drive, you probably haven't come across these because they're normally used in cars, but they're really easy. They have a positive and a ground terminal. They light up the LED, and you can actually wire them either way around, and it works. And then it's a momentary switch running down the centre. So there's 3 pins: NC, NO and ground. So we all know about the ground. NC means normally closed, and if you wire to there, your circuit is closed, so it'll be on constantly unless you press the button. Normally open, waits for you to press the button, which is what we want from a momentary switch normally. So you just go use the NO and the ground. As you can see, I've done on this one. So I have my cables to light the LED, then I have 2 cables that are for the momentary switch, and these will work on my little board. I'll get power from that side, and control for the switch from that side, and my control from the control board just comes in on its cable that would set up. So that's how these switches work. I hope you find it helpful. Any questions, obviously just comment. I've got a couple more bits to solder up, and then we'll have a look at the whole inner workings of what's going to be the stand or the base. Right, so I've got my entire board finished now, controls sections. So let's have a talk through how it all goes together. So I've got mains power comes in, on off switch. We have a 9-volt supply going to here, which powers our 3 halo lights LEDs, which are now on. We have another set of cables coming off to our voltage regulator, which knocks it down to 5 volts, which comes into the main board. We then have our ATMEGA 328, which is basically the brains of everything. To this side, we have all our cables coming out that will go to the lights in the hull and the saucer section of the Enterprise. We have the 4 cables here that go for the motors in the buzzards, and then we have another section of cables that does all the lighting in the cells, the warp effect, the navigation lights, and all the lights in the buzzard collectors. First set of cables coming out on this side goes to my sound card with the speaker connected, and then we have another 4 coming out to here for the momentary switch control. So the momentary switches are on 5 volts, which is the centre. They're not connected to anything at the moment, so they're not actually doing anything, and take a load of wiring for me just to show that. So I'll have to wait till I have the model connected. But that's how all my circuit board plays out. Obviously the 3 chips, the ATMEGA 328, the main brain, the L293D, which does the 2D controls the 2 DC motors in the buzzards, and the ATTINY 85, which does the 5 LEDs in the buzzards for the lighting effect, because there wasn't enough space on the 328 for everything I wanted. But that's it. If you want any more detailed questions you want to ask, just ask them in the comments and I will answer anything as best I can. If you really enjoy Star Trek, you might want to check out our other podcast, Retrek Pod. We've been running for about 2 years, but we've just moved on to YouTube. I'll put a link for that. As I said in the description, I've altered the sketch to get all 3 buttons on one side of the 3 to 8 for ease of the circuit, which I think shows obviously. So I'll include the updated sketch and an updated pin guide in the description. But for now, thank you for watching. Keep trekking, keep modelling. Thank you. Bye bye.